Let me know when you get a notification. Okay, excellent. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a special edition of Off the Record tonight. We have a great guest tonight, a great rapper, a great friend of the family, and just a great person, man. A very humble person, but a very real person. So I'm very honored that you would take time out of your schedule, sir.
Man, thank you for having me, Big Joshua. Appreciate it. Love you, love the family, our nation, and it's an honor for me to be here. Let's go in.
Yes, sir. Let's get straight to it. Yes, sir. How did you get into rap?
Probably like everybody else did. Just I'm almost 50 years old by a lot of permission. So, my era was Run DMC, Grandmaster Flash, Melly Mill, and all of that. So, we got into it in the late 80s, just as fans, and just replacing the rappers' lyrics with our own local neighborhood lyrics, just playing around like that, making our own little mixtapes. At that time, it was it wasn't called mixtapes, but that's what we were doing. So it was just fun. It was just fun. It was just some neighborhood stuff. So that's how I got started. I never took it serious. I never tried to consider making a living at it until after NWA and Eazy-E, and I saw that these same guys that I used to see at the swap meet or I used to see in traffic, they actually became famous and started making hundreds of thousands of dollars off of it. So I considered it. I took it serious after that. After I graduated from high school.
Okay, excellent. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Mimi, for giving me greetings. Also, I want to let everybody know this podcast episode is brought to you by ABC. I Love Me. That book. Thank you. Shout out to my sister for sponsoring this episode. Thank you, Sister Brenda. Thank you, everybody who's watching. Okay, now speaking of West Coast rap, do you think that the West Coast rap, me coming up, I just leaned more towards the West Coast music. Just it was more of a gangster, tough type thing, fighting and stuff. Do you think that the West Coast will ever got his respect, proper respect?
Yeah, it got his respect. It got probably a little too much respect for that wasn't respectable. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it got enough respect, and then we got hijacked and misguided and sent in another direction, and that was by design. Like the minister Farrakhan even noted that that meeting that changed hip hop that had to do with the heads, especially on the West Coast, instituting gangster rap, like the heads of certain record labels combined with the heads of or the investors in private prisons in the early 90s or whatever. So that actually happened. That really went down like that. So it was more than just, it wasn't even about respect. It was about pushing that agenda or pushing that image that was respectable. The whole gangster rap thing. So yeah.
Okay, excellent. Now, how did you survive coming up and you're from Watts, correct?
Watts, yeah, Compton and Watts. Yes, sir.
Compton and Watts. Yes, sir. How did you survive, coming up and making it through high school and not being a statistic?
I didn't. I was a statistic. I am a statistic. But if you're talking about a physically dead statistic, then that's just by the grace of God. That's by the grace of Allah, But nah, I was a statistic.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, this is a question that a lot of people want to know about as far as the West Coast music. What does the W stand for when they throw it up? And what was your influence on that W and what it represents?
Yeah, the W now, everybody says it stands for West Side or West Coast, and that's cool. But in the early 90s, and I didn't originate the W. That was something that always stood for Watts, the city of Watts. And it also stood for one gang neighborhood on the West Side named Watergate Crip. But it was always Watts or Grape Street Watts or Watts Vadio Great. So when I came on the scene, me representing Watts and giving it up for Watts, that's where that came from initially. So anybody would tell you that the W was always Watts or Grape Street Watts. But when I got with Cube, he took it to another level and popularized it as representing West Side or West Coast.
Okay, yes, sir. Now, speaking of Ice Cube, we coming right to him, but you sold 500,000 records, right? Correct, on the album. You went gold, correct?
Yeah, probably more than that. But at that time, if you pushing the Nation of Islam or Minister Farrakhan, it ain't no telling. They gonna pencil whip you. So I'm sure they pencil whipped me. Because I know my record went gold, more than gold or whatever. But that's what they told me.
They told you it went gold. Okay, yes, sir. Now once you went gold, how did your life change? How was your life impacted from the success?
It didn't have nothing to do with going gold. It's like where I'm from, just if they see you on video, on TV, or they hear you on the radio, as far as the people in the streets is concerned, you already gold or platinum or famous, or you already made it. So they're not counting record sales. Like the average people on the street is not counting record sales, like whether you went gold or platinum or nothing like that. They're looking at is Ice Cube or whoever really behind you? Is he really speaking your name? Is he really stamping you? Are you really with him? Are you really in the game like that? And they don't, once they see it's official like that, they don't care whether you went gold or nothing. They just know you made
it. Yes, sir. And okay, now speaking of that and getting stamped and all of that, my father and my older relatives and siblings, they would always play Ice Cube and Colorblind, so I knew your verse before I even knew who you were.
Yes,
off Colorblind, which is a classic verse as well. How did your interaction with Ice Cube? How did that all come about?
It came about through a couple of homies from Compton, from Southside, and from 11. Well, this is neighborhood. This is gang neighborhood from 118th Street East Coast Crip. My homie Lil D and my homie Solo from 1180 East Coast. And my brother, my homie Randy from Compton. We was all in the street, like doing, trying to make our little money in the streets, selling whatever we was selling. And me and my homeboy Lauren Seabree, or Ross Lauren, that we went to high school together, and he had some equipment, some DJ equipment, some turntables. So after after school, or we used to ditch school and just stay home at his house and play around on the turntables and all of that. So from us doing that, and then my other homies from different hoods knowing that I can get down a little bit, it kind of just came together like, yeah, you pretty tight, you kind of tight or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So we was putting our little money into my craft. And like I said, my homie Ran, Lil D and Solo, my homie Solo that I rap with, he's Franklin now from on the video game Grand Theft Auto. He plays Franklin, my homie Solo.
Okay.
Yeah. So he the one that kind of plugged it up with Cube because he was already dealing with Cube, and all of them was from 111. They on the west side. We from Compton and Watts is on the east side. So our neighborhoods and all that was way more grimy and notorious and kind of like feared. Not saying that they was punks on the west side, but But so my homie Solo, like, he was making money in the street, so he used to deal with a lot of people from the west side and east side, doing this little street thing or whatever. So, he used to run across Cube, and this before Cube really blew up. So he was telling Cube about me. And make a long story short, my homie Solo kind of plugged that up. He kind of introduced us, and then we happen to be at the same studio at the same time one day, and that kind of solidified the whole deal. That's when Cube had just left from NWA and started his own thing and went solo. So we just happened to be at the same studio at the same time when he was doing that. And he was like, I got a new company I'm starting called Street Knowledge Productions, and I'm looking for artists. I got an artist named Yo-Yo, and I got a group called the Lynch Mob, you know what I'm saying? So that's where that started, and the rest was history like that. He heard what we was working on and liked it and loved it. And, me and Cube developed a personal relationship after that.
Excellent. Yes, sir. Now, there's been people saying, as far as him having a Jerry curl and you introducing him into the teachings and all of that, is that true?
I'm not gonna say I introduced him to the teachings because when I met him, Joshua, the minister's son, Joshua Farrakhan, like he was already, meeting up with him and giving him the tapes of the leader and all that. But Allah used me to bring him, by Allah's permission, bring him all the way into the fold, into the brotherhood, because I was in the hood. I was FOI. I had just got registered in 1991 and 54 miles 54, so I was banging it real hard, like. And
Yes, sir.
he
Yes,
was
sir.
he was attracted to that, and just like I was attracted to what he was doing. So he put me on in the music thing, and I put him on in the FOI, the brotherhood thing.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Excellent. Now, what went? How did it go bad?
Really just ignorance on both sides. Misrepresentation, me being green to a lot of things inside the politics of the nation, and just not really understanding that he didn't sign up for what I signed up for. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
We at that time we was really with that make all men and boys join the FOI.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying? I'll let y'all use your imagination. It wasn't, but he was with it, but even Supreme Captain Mustafa, like he had to lace me on a few things. Like you can't make somebody that's already prominent, that's already a high profile personality or whatever, you can't necessarily make them come down to your floor on the elevator, and you gotta come up to where they at, and and meet them where they at. And I didn't believe in that. I believe that the streets were stronger than the celebrity thing. So you got to come get with these street politics, you know what I'm saying, or with this FOI politics.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's kind of what made it kind of tense. And I didn't really understand the wisdom of that diplomacy or those politics. So I was putting some pressure that I probably shouldn't have been putting on him in that situation. And then with some other brothers that wasn't seasoned, that didn't even have, like, at least I was an artist and Cube was making money off of me and with me and benefiting from me personally and business wise. But once I brought the brotherhood, a lot of the brothers didn't have my interest or my leverage, or it wasn't bringing what, and they kind of was, I ain't gonna say pushing up on them, but they, it just we was green to a lot of things that put some unnecessary pressure on the brother. And I take full responsibility of my part in that, because we was pressing. I'm just gonna keep it. It is what it is. We was pressing everybody. Compton Miles 54 was not on no criminal stuff. We was just putting the pressure. We was making all men and boys join the FOI.
Allahu Akbar. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now the song, the classic song "Woo Woo" was released. Yes, sir. And this was a huge this song. And how did that come about?
That was just a product of the Flames being fan and our egos being involved, because I had an ego. I still do. I had an ego at that time of being whoever I thought I was. And of course, Cube, like in the hip hop game, it's all about ego. It's all about I'm the baddest, or I'm the toughest, or I'm the king, or I'm the this and that. So those egos kind of clash. Mine having to do from coming from the street FOI thing, his coming from the music millionaire, the influence that he had, and his street side. So to make a long story short, like he didn't. Well, let me say this: he could have looked out, because it was really personal business. It was personal FOI homie business that I seen that he wasn't leveling up in the business side. I was doing things over and above and beyond the call of music business duties. You know what I'm saying? Because he was my brother, and his voice was getting to millions of people. He was sharing the message of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan in his way because of my influence by Allah permission. So I got you on whatever. Like, I got you. So it ain't even about Cam trying to, even though I was a dope rapper and all of that, but it wasn't about Cam got to shine and Cam got to say that, okay, well, Cube already got the voice of millions, so you just say it. I'll play the background. You say it. So that made him look extra good. That made him look extra, pioneer in this, and he's this and that. You know what I'm saying? And there's no diss in that, but it just made sense. It was just the militarily wise thing to do at that time. But personally, between me and him, but once my thing came out, it was no push. It was no push from Q for my thing. And I'm like, well, you seen how I push for you personally and on the business thing or whatever. Like, what's happening? Why are you not promoting my thing? Well, Cam, that's not how the business goes, and this and that. And I was like, well, this ain't a how the business goes situation. You already know what So that combined with some other stuff that, like I said, he just didn't sign up for what I signed up for. So I was trying to hold him to East Side neighborhood FOI rules and regulations that he didn't even sign up for. You know what I'm saying? So it just went left from there.
Okay, yes, sir. Now, was there a chain snatching situation, or is that just a myth, or what?
No, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't snatching. It wasn't a chain snatching. But no, that wasn't me. That was Solo. That was my homie Solo. And without getting it, like we're not trying to make it messy and because Cube, he wasn't no punk. Like, he scrapped. It was a head up fade or whatever. He just, lost it. He just lost a little bit of jewelry in the process or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, but like for the record, like I said, Cube ain't like to me, I learned a lot from him. Like I learned a lot of manhood stuff. I learned that he super was not on no homosexual stuff. Like, he wasn't homophobic, but he was very honorably heterosexually, militarily, like, he really stood against that. Like he had a really personal thing against that because he's seen a lot of that. And that even rubbed off on me. Like, damn, I was trying to give him like the benefit of the doubt a little, but he took a hard line against homosexuality, not homosexuals, but just against that lifestyle. And I respected him for that. And he took a hard line on pro-marriage, like his wife, Kim. Like I learned a lot as far as marriage. Like that's one of the things I can never take away from that brother. Like, and even in Islam, marriage is half of the whole faith. And
yes, sir.
His strength, in my opinion, his greatest strength, and I try to shoot a jab at him, like, your wife wear the pants in the house and all of that.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, and that was just me on some trying to get under his skin and shit. Yeah. I mean, but I really respect him for that. I really learned a lot from him on those two areas or whatever. So our beef was just ego stuff. Like once you diss me and I diss you, then it's on like that. So it just happened. It happened to be. It happened to be. Hold on one second. It just happened to be. My homies and shit was kind of feeling a certain kind of way, and whoever see him first, and he had put the word out too. Like so it wasn't like no deadly stuff. It was just like we needed that fade. We needed to run a fade. So that happened. It just wasn't me. It was Solo, my homie Solo.
Yes, sir. Now, speaking of that, I saw the video on the Beef DVD, and I see you standing with the Minister and Ice Cube, and everybody's at the Palace. How did that meeting come about?
Because it was kind of already getting out of hand, and the word that got around that it was beef, and I think at that time that altercation had already happened. So Mustafa, Supreme Captain Mustafa, he made a few calls and reached out to me and reached out to Q and some other people and just set up a whole, because it was a lot of other stuff going on at the same time. A whole lot of other artists that had issues with other artists. So Mustafa, set it up as far as I understand it, just get together and squash all of this because it was right after the I think it was after the Million Man March. It was right after the Million Man March. And the enemy was coming against us, especially against the rappers or whatever. So the minister had already seen the plot and the plan, so he was like, "Hurry up, get the people together, get these brothers together, and let's settle these differences, settle these beef, squash this, because the enemy is trying to use any little beef to make something happen and do something to somebody else right now in this climate, and that's gonna start a full on war because they're gonna blame it on you or your clique or whoever's supposed to be beefing with who." So he was able to do that. He got in touch with Cube. I think he was filming a movie. He was doing something. And he's like, "Man, I don't care what you're doing. Get yourself out here." You know what I'm saying? So he had got on the private jet or whatever and got out there, and that's what squashed that thing between us. Fat Joe was there, Common was there, like, a lot of people was there that had issues with Cube and other people that had issues with each other or whatever. So, and that happened twice. I forgot what the first year, the first summit, peace summit, but we did that twice. It was two peace summits between the hip hop artists. I don't remember what the first one was or the second one.
Okay, yes, sir. Excellent. And I also wanted to follow up with that and say that you did an excellent job on your verse on that the Big Man March song. That was a hard verse. Yes, sir. That was a hard verse. Yes, sir. What was your relationship like with Suge Knight?
We was cool. Like, I knew Suge somewhat before he ever made it, before he started Death Row, when he was dealing with Dick Griffey and Solar Records, before he, and I think he was doing bodyguard work, or I forgot what he was doing exactly, but I knew him like a little bit in the streets of what he was, he, like I said, doing his bodyguard work after because he was trying to play football. He was playing football for a minute too. And but by the time he became Suge, Death Row Suge, like, we was always cool, but I didn't, of course, I knew better. I knew what the game was, the industry cats, like, he had them all shook, but he knew that wasn't a street thing. Like, we stayed out of his way. Like, we respected his grind. Like, he had found his niche. Like you could slap up these little industry dudes and scare them and punk them and all of that, and that's what he was doing. He was getting paid off of it. But by us being FOI and we had a different kind of code, we couldn't do that one way or the other. We didn't get in his way because we knew that the people that he was slapping up or whatever was suckers anyway. You know what I'm saying? And he had some real hitters with him from Ludus Park, from the Mob and all of that. So we just, we respected each other. My homie from from Campanella, yeah, Big Jake, or I forgot he was from the Mob, but he used to always tell me, come on, man, come over to the road, man. Like, man, I can't do that, man. You know what I'm saying? I could have got paid all kind of ways, but that I was FOI, so I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? And we used to laugh about it, saying we used to laugh about it, like, man, blah blah. These dudes punks, you family, Cam, and it ain't gonna go like that. But still, I can't even mix my thing with that, like, you know what I'm saying? Yes, so that's how that went.
Okay, wonderful. Rashad, I see your question. I'm coming to it later. Mimi says, "What is your relationship with Ice Cube today?"
We all right. We good. I mean, we don't really do business or really communicate. I reached out for him a couple of years ago on the Mutual Respect album, the Black and Brown album that I did a couple of years ago, and we was communicating. I mean, it was good. He agreed to get down on the album and the feature, but I sent him a few beats and he wasn't feeling none of the beats. That he said he wasn't feeling none of the beats. And during that time, I strangely got a court judgment in the mail out of nowhere from Bridgeport Music or something that stuck me with like a $850,000 judgment bill against me, and they started already garnishing my publishing, my ASCAP and my royalties and all of that. So I told him about it, and after I told him about it, he never responded after that. So I'm guessing that his lawyers or whatever told him not to respond or whatever. But yeah, I never heard nothing from him after that. And it was in care of Street Knowledge. It was for some samples that didn't get cleared or some sample judgment lawsuit. And I'm not a producer, you know what I'm saying? So how I got stuck with $853,000 judgment for some samples that didn't get cleared, that Care of Street Knowledge, which was Cube's production company and label.
Okay.
You know, so I'm pretty sure that whoever his legal counsel is just said don't even respond to that. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't seen him since. That was like 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay, great response. What did you ever meet Tupac?
Oh yeah, that was my dude. We were supposed to do some music. I was supposed to do a couple of songs on his Machiavelli album, but that never happened because, like, again, he was over there on death row, and I couldn't do that. I couldn't mix that business, even though we was cool, but the politics over there and the way they was getting down, I couldn't even validate that by me bringing FOI business over there.
Yes, sir. And man, Brother Cam, I want to thank you on behalf of the FOI everywhere, if I could speak for us, for taking a stance like that. And it's hard. It's hard, you know, for having principles in the industry like that. Do you ever regret that?
Not at all. Not at all. I would imagine that's like asking Nat Turner or Harriet Tubman or Martin Luther King, like, you know, do they regret that? Because it ain't about getting fame and luxury and pleasure and money and all of that. It's about being immortal, taking a stand, you know, and trusting whoever your God is, whoever you believe God or the Most High to be, that he gonna reward you off on into the future. Because we gonna die, we all gonna die as individuals, but if I had the opportunity to affect millions or hundreds of thousands or whatever, millions of minds, especially of our people, the lost found, and I didn't take full advantage of that and give them the most potent, positive, whatever demonstration that I could, even if it means turning down this and turning down this person and not rocking with this person, not rocking with that person. I'd rather do that, because to me, that's real wealth. That you standing on principles and integrity and character, righteous morals or whatever. I suffer, like I took hella financial losses. My mom's passed, my 2 sisters passed, my grandma, all of them. If we would have had the kind of money that I, was having, I probably could have prolonged their life or even saved their life or whatever. But I took the stand that I took, and we didn't have the resources to take care of those things. And, Allah's God, and, it is what it is.
Yes, sir. Praise him so long. Once again, I respect you, and a whole bunch of, it's millions of people who respect you, but millions of Muslims everywhere, and other people who respect your stance as well, sir.
Man, I praise you to Allah.
Yes, sir. What was your relationship like? Well, first of all, let me get to this question. My brother asked me, he said, is there a casting couch or things that you have to do to compromise yourself in order to get in the industry?
Most definitely. It's probably a casting, I didn't even say bed, whatever. It's not just a couch. It's a whole floor. It's a casting floor now. Yeah, you definitely now mainstream entertainment, mainstream media. It's all totally hijacked, completely hijacked. So if anybody is on mainstream media, you have compromised something. You have compromised your morals, you compromise your people, you compromise your manhood or your womanhood. You have given a huge chunk of your soul to the beast. If you pop in on commercial mainstream media, you have sold something huge to the beast, to the Satan. Only ones that haven't really done that is people that already blew up independent, say like a J. Cole or like Kendrick's, like people like that already made their buzz and made their bones, in spite of the commercial machine. But they still chipping away at them. They Satan's thing is over decades. Like he planned to chip away at you over years. Like he not just a sprinter. He's a marathon guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. So I don't know if I answered the question.
Absolutely, you answered. Yeah. And thank you, Rashad, for that question. Okay, so my brother's a rapper. I'm an actor. I need you to give us some advice. So Rashad, we'll come back to you in a minute. But I'm an actor, right? So you're telling me, right? So, just go ahead and kill my spirit, crush my dreams right now. Let me know.
Yeah.
So you,
they should be crushed.
Yeah. So it's like, so damn, Josh, you really think you're gonna be in a movie? It's something.
Oh no, you'll be in the movies, but you won't be in the movies with them. Like like, what we doing independent, thank God for, like, Steve Jobs or whoever that created this independent direct to the consumer platform called the internet or social media. You can, and YouTube, but you see what they trying to do with that now. You can get directly to the customer or the consumer through that. So you don't need a movie studio necessarily. You don't need a record label necessarily. But you do have to have your own community supporting you, like how we got NFA studios or whatever you're doing. You got to have the Muslims, whatever. If it's your hood, if it's the Muslim community, if it's whatever, like, you got to start having your own local people support you like that. Don't ever rely, because that's gonna bring you to the attention of those people that want to write you a check and act like they love you and all that. No, don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. Stay with what you are, because they are gonna water you down. They're gonna redirect your whole thing or put you on the shelf, or they got tricks. They got tricks for you. Don't do that. Do what you're doing right now. Get with people like how you just got with me. Reach out with people that already got influence or they got respect in the industry, whether it's mainstream or underground or both, and have them support you and stamp you like that. You know what I'm saying? Do not rely on it. It don't mean that you can't do business. It's just like Muslim sons. Yeah, we you can come and do trading among us, and we won't blah blah you as quick. You know what I'm saying? But you're not running nothing this way. You don't run this. I don't care how much money, how much bag you got. No, we're the talent. We're the gold. We're the black gold.
Yes, sir.
You need us to survive. You're the parasite. We're the host. We don't need a parasite. You need a host.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's really how that go.
Okay, excellent. Damn. Thank you for that advice. Man, guys, and thank you, Rashad already on that. But yeah, I needed that his cosign for that. I mean, your cosign for that. And thank you for showing support.
Man, and talent, like, as long as you keeping up your craft and you're passionate and you like or love what you do, you feel good about what you do, you're gonna draw the money and the fame and the resources and the allies and the help to yourself. You're gonna will that to yourself just by, your motivation ain't vain. As long as your motivation ain't vain and selfish and childish and all of that, you working on your craft or whatever, you're gonna draw that to yourself. You're gonna draw the help. You're gonna pull the help. You're gonna attract the help to yourself. I promise you. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're gonna attract the help to yourself on your terms, not the Satan help where some strings attached.
Yes, sir. Yes,
when
sir.
it's God and when it's you, it's not no strings attached.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Man, thank you. Okay, when did you first hear the teachings?
Man, I first heard the teachings probably 88, 89. I mean, I heard it before that, but I wasn't checking for it at all. Like, I used to see the brothers in the 70s and the 80s with the bean pies and the paper and, Jesus is black. Like, I wasn't trying to hear none of that. It wasn't. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't until my oldest brother, Reuben Muhammad, he went to the Navy. He was in the Navy for like 6-7 years or maybe whatever. And then they gave him a scholarship to go to USC. They paid for schooling to go to USC. So when he was going to USC, the black student, the FOI used to come up to USC campus and selling tape. He used to go to the Black Student Union or whatever. That's when they was allowed to come on the campuses once upon a time. But he used to bring the papers home and the VHS tapes home and play them all night. And, we poor, we all in the same room. So I got to listen to whatever he playing. Like, I'm like, man, you gonna turn that shit off, man? That was just me rebelling against him. But actually, whoever this person that he was playing was really saying some real stuff. Like, it was some real soldier business. It wasn't like street gangbang stuff that I respected, but it was a different level of banging that like, damn, like, whoa, he's talking about police like that, and he's talking about, and that was Farrakhan. I didn't know that was Farrakhan. Like, oh, so that made me respect my brother more. You know what I'm saying? But I still wasn't trying to hear it. I'm still rebellious, doing my thing in the street. But the seed was already planted and already dropped. So when I was getting into trouble in the streets or whatever, my brother, like, where your people at? Where your homies at now? Nobody was ever there for me every time I got in trouble except my brother. And he was always talking about this teaching, this Allah and this and that. Like, so one or two good times, I was facing some facing some heavy, whatever. And I was like, man, well, if your Allah get me out of this, man, I'm a rock with you. I'm gonna check for it. And it didn't happen overnight, but it was crazy, coincidental, whatever. And I was like, man, well, yo, Allah got me out. It was crazy. I'm still thinking like these folks finna come, like this didn't just happen like this, like, and that's exactly what happened. So I was with it ever since, and that same type of thing happened with Cube and the rap thing, like wow, like whoever this God is, man, you know what I'm saying? It's very positive, but it's positively scary because why now is this dude pulling up to my house every morning talking about Ice Cube? He was already Ice Cube. Not all the people, like, you know, so it was really something about this new God, and I'm born and raised Christian, so that's blasphemy for me to even be considering some man is God, you know, Farad Muhammad is God, but I was logical. Like, I was like, man, we was enslaved for 400 years, and Jesus was supposed to already been in power for the last 2,000 years, but then he let us go into slavery for, like, so I was doing all that, man, like, that ain't working out, so let me see what this new God is talking about. So,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I took a chance. I rolled the dice and called on that new God for real. And boy, I scared the dog doo-doo out of me in a good way, like, because he came through. I was like, like, all right, I believe you. I believe you really the God. I can't handle this for real. Literally, I was like, this is too much for me, Allah. This is too much for me, Master Prophet Muhammad. You can take it now. You proved yourself. You proved yourself to me. And that's when the thing with Cube happened. Like, we parted ways, and my so-called shine went down and all that. But that's because I seen it was a trap. I'm not ready for this. It's happening too fast. I already know where this is going. I literally prayed to Master Farad Muhammad and said, like, you can take it now. You can take it away now. I see you're really God. Never told this story before, I don't think. I told it to like my wife and personal people, whatever, but it didn't mean nothing to nobody. Nobody else believes in Master Farad Muhammad or even care. But I called on that man. I called on that God, and he delivered so strong it scared the dog ish out of me. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So y'all can take it for however y'all want to take it.
Wow, yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's powerful. Okay, so when you came in, who trained you?
I came in 54. I first came in 27, March 27. It was under Wazir and Halim, Captain Halim and brother Minister Wazir, may Allah be pleased with him. And then that was kind of too far from where I was at, so I started processing in Compton, and that was under Shahid, Captain Shahid, and I forgot who was the student minister. I think it was I forgot who the minister was. It'll come back to me, but that was in 1990. So we was training in Carson and Compton and Carson in Shahid's garage, like, the FOI was training with martial arts and boxing and other little military moves and all of that. So, and then I kind of knew Shahid from the street life because he was in the street before that, prior to that. So that's who I came under, and I liked his style for various reasons, because he was hood. Yeah, he was hood. You know what I'm saying? This thing was hood, but he was looking good. He looked real civilized and good. Like his security was on point. Like his security, military mindedness was on point. And so it just resonated with me and brothers like me. So the little hood dudes from Compton, Watts, Carson, LA, we all really clicked at that time, and that's what made Compton FOI at that time so attractive. The FOI we was all street dudes. Most of us were street dudes, and we had a street captain, and we did street business. We did street things.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Okay, now I'm a drill man myself, so very military. Did you drill? Do you drill? I never seen you drill.
We did some competition, like Savior Day comp. Okay. We didn't win. But yeah, we drilled. But yes, we did more street drilling. We did more drilling than yeah. Yeah, we won. We won those. We won those competitions. We didn't win them get on the stage competitions though. We didn't win those. We won them street ones though.
Yes,
By a
sir.
lot
And we
of them.
appreciate that. We appreciate that. We need the credibility. We need the credibility. How did you meet the most honorable Farrakhan?
Through Shaheed. My first time meeting, I think, was through Captain Shaheed in Compton when he came to Compton, maybe in '91. I think it was a Stop the Killing tour or something like that at Compton College. And that's where I first got with Cube. So, he introduced me as, this the brother that helped bring Cube, into the fold. And like, man, I thank you, brother. Love you, this and that. And he seen my hands, my knuckles, like, because I used to be good with my hands. He's like, brother, you a boxer, huh? I was like, yeah, I'm all right, brother. He see my knuckles was all toe up, like, you know what I'm saying? And I was in shape, at that time. He seen my nose was crooked or whatever, but I wasn't. So I'm not a professional, sir. I'm not a professional, sir, but I do a little something. So that was my first time meeting him, and I didn't cry like after that, because I took some L's after that. Every time I met the minister, I cried like a little bee. You know what I'm saying? He's the only one can make me cry. You know what I mean? And he don't even be trying. He be trying to make me happy and shit and just make it even worse. I can't even be around him. But I'm glad I'm not in Chicago, nowhere around him, because my nose would be snot. It'd be, I just can't keep it together around him. And I can't go into the reasons why, but it just is. It is what it is.
Praise be to Allah, and I definitely understand. Yes, sir. Now, what was your relationship like with my father? Because my father always spoke highly of you, so I didn't know how y'all met. I was
yeah. I can't really put him out there like that, but a lot of the, and this ain't on him. Like, this was Shaheed and us. A lot of the muscle that we flexed was for your father. No shit. No, because people was trying to play your pops a certain kind of way. On business, because he was always a sharp businessman, and he was always a good businessman, and he'd put certain things out there on good faith and put certain people in positions and give them jobs and all of that, and then they're playing funny and sell him out a certain kind of way, like, oh no, you ain't, so we, things, you just couldn't do that. And it was cool, it was cool. So yeah, and he was there when me and Cube first bumped heads. Like, he the one kept us kind of together a little while longer. He was a witness in the meeting in Cube's office at Street Knowledge when I was like, F this contract, F this, like, I don't care about none of this. You can blah blah. And he was like, no, sir, brother. Like, you know what I'm saying? We don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? So he was like one of the first ones that squashed some stuff between me and Cube in person. He ain't gonna tell you that. But
yes, sir.
Yeah, man, I love your pops, man. Like, I'm telling you, man, beautiful. Like, he made me, he made me cry too. Like, I don't like y'all, man. Y'all make I'm serious, man, because I'm emotional, but I'm not like that. I'm cold, but like, real dudes, real men break me down for some kind of reason. Hey, man, I see the pain, I see the loss, I see what they go through, and and your pops, man, that's a real, and I love that man. You know what I'm saying?
Praise
and it make you want to do something to people. Like, it make you want to do something to people over them. So that's just is what it is.
Okay, yes, sir. Now, I remember the Made in America CD. I remember when you having that, and me and my siblings reenacted it, trying to rap and know all your words and stuff like that. How, when you, as a conscious rapper or woke rapper or somebody who has a message, I don't count you as like a woke rapper or something like that, but somebody who has a message that's positive. How do you keep your spirit to keep doing it in a world where it isn't like everything else is winning?
Well, that's the motivation, because when you got knowledge of self and you know something about history and prophecy, divine prophecy, you already know you won. That's why it's called script or scripture. I already know the script. I know how this story ends. I know how this ends. You know what I'm saying? So I recognize the characters. I done read so much all my life, and so I'm trying to play these kind of characters. I don't want to play the Judas character or the sideline cheerleader character or nothing like that. I got actually I have action at playing a prominent positive role, and I see that, oh, I'm all in. I can't be Jesus, I can't be God or whatever, but I can be one of them dudes like around the throne and that go. I can be one of them dudes that take that dude ear off. I can be one of them dudes.
Yes, sir.
I can find myself somewhere in there. So, I wasn't even tripping on that. I'm just happy to know what I know and recognize who I recognize. And because I've seen so many of us, I've seen all my family and homies die for nothing. Like, they not here. So I have to absorb them and let them get their action back. They get their action back through me. I'm carrying they love and they, what they wasn't able to complete. They gonna, and then once I go, somebody else that love me absorb my soul into them and help me complete whatever I wasn't able to complete.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Okay, wonderful. Now, we spoke earlier and you said you have 6 children, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
what
sir.
is the difference in you raising boy children or male children versus female children?
Man, it's warfare. It's a danger factor. I mean, it's a different kind of danger. Like with girls, of course you worried about molestation and sexual abuse and stuff like that, or even just being poisoned, mentally with certain trends of society and certain cultural like poison, whatever. Like it's cool to be a thought, or it's cool to be a Cardi B or Nicki Minaj type of whatever. And if the child's mother is not firmly rooted in modesty and knowledge of self and civilization, then they will unfortunately go in that direction. And that's the why I said, the nation can rise no higher than a woman, or where there's no decent women, there's no decent man. Like, especially when women is leveling themselves up and equaling themselves up with men right now, then you have to take the sisters have to take certain accountability for their power and their influence, because all human beings come through them. So no matter how dirty and doggish or whatever the man is, if you believe that you got an equal brain, you got equal intelligence, then okay, shake that part off. We understand the trauma, but don't infect the children with it. You know what I mean? So it's rough raising a daughter in that sense, but then, if you got sons, you worried about them getting murdered. They public enemy. They the number one target. From vaccination, from when they in the womb, or when they first born. You trying to give them autism, or you trying to give them shots, or you trying to give them this, you trying to give them that. So I had to learn and navigate through all of that. And by a lot of permission, I've been fairly relatively or pretty successful by a lot of permission, because I ain't nothing, because I was blind. If it wasn't for Minister Farrakhan guidance, I'll be dead, and we all be dead. But it taught me. I learned some of my best lessons from my 6 offspring. They're not children. 3 of them are adults now, and 3 of them are young adults. Young children. But to me, that is the best classroom for me personally. That aside from being a husband, being married. Because when you're not married, then according to the teachings, you can at most you can be 50% of a Muslim. So you got to be 100%. Like, you got to be all the way 100% just to be 50% of a Muslim if you're not married. But if you are married, you can be like a half-ass Muslim and half-ass married, and you still have more percentage of Muslim than a single dude. You know what I'm saying? So I learned a lot from that, and the trials and the reality of not being an individual no more. As soon as you become a parent and a husband, you have died the individual life. I'm no longer an individual. I'll never go back to being an individual. I have to think for us. I have to think for we. I have to think for multiple, plural people. So that already is going to expand your mind, expand your breast, but it's going to increase your stress. It's going to increase your alertness. It's going to cause, it's going to cause more stress in this world. I'm responsible for those people that I produce. I'm responsible for my wife that produced for me. You know what I'm saying? But I'm happy to know how to be a soldier for them. If I got to die for anything, yeah, I'm happy to die for that. If I got to kill for anything, I'm happy to kill for that.
Oh,
You know,
wow,
I'm happy.
wonderful. Okay, yes, sir. Wonderful. Okay, now we got to plug your book. You said you're coming out
Yes,
because I
sir.
got some relationship questions. So, what is the name of your book?
The book is called War in Your Heaven, and it's from the Bible verse in Revelation. And there was war in heaven, the dragon. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels. And this is all
Mm-hmm.
being decoded from the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, where he said the only heaven that we know is the woman. So the woman in this context, this is not the only context, but in this context of this book, War in Your Heaven and that Revelations is talking about 75% of the problem of and the work of resurrection of our people is with the black woman, right? That's the war. The war is not against the woman or against heaven. The war is in heaven. You're fighting a dragon that has been installed in her or instilled or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And it's a
Mm-hmm.
symbiotic relationship, meaning it's like a parasite. So once it attaches to the woman, then they start sharing nerve endings and neurons or whatever. So, and it starts setting her
Mm-hmm.
appetite. It starts setting her mentality, her appetite. So when you go in there to kill it or slay it, she gonna feel it like you slaying her, like you attacking her. It's the same difference to her. But like the Bible said, it's harvest time. At a certain point, we was able to let it alone. Like, if somebody sowed in those weeds or them little snakes among the wheat.
Yes, sir.
And we had to just let them grow together because we feel like, okay, both of them are still young and we don't want to mess up the wheat. So you have to let them grow together. But at a certain time, the harvest time, at a certain season, I'm gonna send the reapers in after a certain time go by. I'm gonna let it be. But at a certain time, then I'm gonna send the reapers in and they gonna go to war. They gonna go to war with them weeds. They're not gonna let them alone like that. They're gonna go to war with that dragon that's in heaven. It used to be a serpent. It should be a little serpent in the garden in Adam and Eve,
Yeah,
but they
yeah.
left it alone and didn't go cut the head off of it and left it alone, and it grew to this big dragon. And that's the problem with our women right now, is that they've been hosting this snake, and our lameness and our default and our duty as men allowed that to grow into a dragon. So now we absolutely have to go to war with this dragon in our heaven. Otherwise, it's going to take down a third of the star. With our shit, it already took down a third of the stars of heaven, and it's not even heaven no more. Our relationships with our women is not heaven no more. It's hell. That's why we're not staying together. We breaking up and all of that. So it's really a science book. It's a science book. It's but it's spoken in biblical Christian language because most of our women go to Christianity because they get their feelings hurt by their men or whatever, and they run to Jesus or run to the church or whatever, and that's where they find comfort at. So I had to speak to them in that language. You know what I mean?
Smart move.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, man.
War
Well,
in your heaven.
yes, sir. Well, I'm an actor, sir, and if you ever want to do it to a play or to a movie, please don't
Oh,
forget about
yes,
me.
sir.
I would love to be
Yes,
in that.
sir. I'll
That
send
sounds
it to you. Actually, you got one for free, so I'll send it to you. It's only like 80 pages. It's a small book, whatever, but it's packed. It's potent. So, you read over it and whatever it makes you conceptualize, whatever images or whatever, like I'm open. That's what we're here for. That's what I mean by the talent. What you just said, well, okay, I know you serious. I know who you are. You just willed and spoke some stuff that it might come to you faster than you're ready, than you're ready for it. You know what I'm saying? Don't play with Master Farrakhan Muhammad. He'll give it to you.
Yes,
Be
sir.
careful.
Ain't that the truth?
Careful.
Yes, sir. Man, okay, that's great. And I want everyone who's watching, thank you all, and please make sure that we support your book. When can we get it, and how can we get it?
It will be out, inshallah, next week. I forgot the exact date, but I'm trying to set up at least a small little build up for the release date. It's already ready, so I can release it at any time because I'm self-publishing it. But I'm trying to give it maybe a week and a half to just set it up. I'm taking pre-orders right now. warinyourheaven.com. Book is $15 pre-order. warinyourheaven.com. I got a song out, a single or whatever. Of course, I'm a rapper, so I got to put a song with it also. So, but we're gonna go on a book tour and with inshallah with Nick Cannon and Big Boy out here on the radio and Charlemagne and whatever. We're gonna make some noise with it, God willing.
Praise be to Allah. And we rooting for you, bro, because you deserve
Man.
a win. You deserve another win, but you definitely deserve one for
Yeah, I don't know. I deserve my ass whooped. That's what I deserve. But but thank
Okay,
you. But thank you, Joshua.
okay, well here's the question though.
Yes,
What
sir.
advice, because like you said, relationships and hell, and I mean
Yeah,
it's real out here, you know what I'm saying? And you
sir.
made me feel bad. You made me feel bad for not being married, but it's all good. But
Yeah, you should be. You
but,
should feel bad. Nah.
but what advice would you give to future husbands?
To be honest, to be real, to be upfront. Communication is everything, and raw, not disrespectful, but prompt, upfront, thorough, honest communication upfront. If you can't afford something, because like the Quran say, if you can't afford to marry this type of woman or this free believing woman, then let it be known. Like, I can't afford that. This is where I'm at. This is where my reality is. This is my plan. If you feel good about that and you want to help me and invest, but I ain't got nothing, this is all I have to offer you. Like, you got to really lay it out. Like, we lie too much and try to and put that Instagram social media image up like we just doing it big. No, I'm not doing it big. I'm not doing it big. You know what I'm saying? I'm hurting. I need help. I'm not trying to pimp you. I don't want you taking care of me. I don't want you being my mama. But you just got to lay it out. You know what I'm saying? And then, let her respond and see, you really have to court yourself. You really have to vet yourself for the sisters better than they gonna vet you, because a lot of times they might be desperate or they just not up on me and game or whatever. You got to be honest, like the minister. I got to be honest enough for both of us. I got to be honest for me and honest for you. And then you have your ass in the clear, relatively speaking. You know what I'm saying? Because we all got dirt. We all full of ish. You know what I'm saying? If you really just peel back the layers. So let them know, baby, or sister or whatever. Like, I'm full of ish in this area. I'm weak in this area. You know what I'm saying? So, can you help me? Like, what is your thoughts or whatever? You just got to put your weaknesses out there. I would say put your weaknesses out there. Everybody going to try to act like they putting their strengths and putting their best face and all that. No, do the opposite. Put your weaknesses out there and see how she responds. That's what I would say.
Okay, excellent. Okay, well, here's a question. This is what my experience is, and I'm learning, and a lot of the homies that down here are experiencing some of the same things. It seems as if no matter what background they come from, what religion or what it is, right now something's in the air where a lot of the women are trying to get married. Do you think that all women want to get married, like subconsciously, or is that like?
Well, by nature they do, but by circumstance and by trauma and all that they don't. Because if you have a bad experience, depending on how bad of an experience, it could be molestation, it could be disease. Your man gave you disease, or cheated on you, or raped you, or beat you, or whatever. Depending on what that experience is, the woman naturally would say, "I'm better off single. I'm actually happier being single than to deal with that." That don't mean that by nature they want to be single, but relative to that, compared to what they just came out of, or the dude that they was dealing with, or the dudes, then yeah, single probably is the best bet. You know what I'm saying? But naturally speaking, women, of course, they want to be married. Of course, they want to be a wife. They want to be a mother. They want to be secured by a man and shit, and have a family. Of course they do. But the enemy, Pharaoh, whatever, has destroyed us and destroys our ability to make money like they do. They block us while they lift them up through corporate America or through grants or loans or whatever. They're not giving the black man nothing but bullets and time. You know what I'm saying? Yes, so the sisters don't really know that. They like, no, I go to school, you should get your education. Like, no, it don't work like that, sis. That's not really the reality. They're not making it easy. They don't want to see me around them every day. They want to see your pretty self around them every day in the office. They don't want me around. I represent genetic annihilation for them. You represent pleasure and, them going into the future if they can get to your womb, if they can trick you into, opening your legs to them and stuff. So they want no parts of us. They want to kill us, and we feel it every day. Y'all don't know that. Y'all not a black man. Y'all don't feel what we feel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actual facts. Okay. When you and thank you all for watching. I see all your comments and I appreciate that. When you make a mistake with your wife, What are some of the things that you do to like make it better or to apologize, to get back on
That's
the
a
good side?
great question. That is a great question. A lot, you know, if it's a new relationship, you're gonna have to do. I mean, you have to do it whether it's a new relationship or old relationship. But I deal with that in my book. Like how, you know, how does a man regain? I put it in the form of how does a man regain his respect or his authority after he's effed up bad with his woman? You know what I'm saying? Because we have up. So
Yes, sir.
now, like, because you can't allow your woman to now make you a slave to your F up. Like, I still have to be able to be a man. I still have to be able to, you know, be the head of this household and the head of you or whatever. So I do definitely have to do some restitution and some atoning and make up, you know, some delinquent, you know, penalties and stuff I got to make up. So I have to be your slave for a period. I do have to be a slave to you for a period. You know what I'm saying? This is actual fact. This is actual
Yes, sir.
fact. But and then I have to be able to balance still running the, you know, doing my duties and being the head of the household while being her slave to work off that crime that I did. But that's something that you have to communicate. Like, okay, well, how long do you think, like, y'all actually really have to sit down and, no, I need you to do this and I need you to do this for this long. Like, y'all really have to talk about it. It can't be no unspoken feelings or he should know how I feel or she should know how I feel. No. The very thing that you're running from is what you're supposed to be running to. Lay it on the table properly, thoroughly communicate about it. That's how you save a relationship, and that's how you even make it stronger, because then she can see that you really got her best interest at heart. Like, even though he messed up, he's really doing something to try and make it right or demonstrate or give an effort that, you know, it still might not work, but at least she'll respect you. It still might be too much for her to overcome, depending on what the violation is. But at least you did an effort. You went on record doing some kind of effort and acknowledging your effort. You know.
Excellent. Okay. How much? Okay. Now, in the new age of social media and relationships, how do you try to, like, you know, maneuver without letting social media and the memes, her saying niggas ain't shit and all that kind of stuff? How do you maneuver through that and keep a healthy relationship?
Just communicating, you know, knowledge yourself and then communicating, being raw. Like, a relationship, your wife, your woman is supposed to be your best friend. That's supposed to be your second self. So however you able to talk to yourself in your own head, you should be able to talk. You should be able to talk to your woman like that, to where that she's not taking it personal or offensive or whatever, because, you know, she's used to your language. And like I said, she has to know over a period of time and years that you got her best interests at heart, that you demonstrated duty to her and duty to her and duty to her, duty to your family, commitment to her. Like, but if it's a new relationship, then that's hard to, like, you know, it's hard. You have to initiate and establish that, especially like you mess up early. Like, she ain't even got enough history with you, but you mess up early in a relationship. Ooh, man, unless y'all both spiritually mature, it might not work. That might be a wrap. You know what I'm saying? That might be a wrap. You know.
Yes, sir. Okay, wonderful. Now, this question is about music, because some people texted me earlier because when I told them I was interviewing you. How can the OGs from your generation have experienced that y'all been through the real wars, the real all of this and that, and then when you look at the new music, is it something that you appreciate? Is there how can we bridge the gap between the old and the young in music and in real life?
Man, unfortunately, the youngsters and some of the older ones have been programmed or hypnotized or brainwashed to only respect the bag. So the youngsters ain't really listening to the older heads unless they got the bag, and the enemy is not giving the older heads the bag. So that's their Willie Lynch way of divide and conquer right now, and creating a generation gap. Is y'all washed up, y'all ain't getting the bag. You know what I'm saying? We getting the bag. Stop hating old niggas. You know what I'm saying? We getting our bag. You know what I'm saying? So unless you got a track record or a history of really respecting and showing that you was a G, you know, with the youngsters and showing love and attention and concern to the youngsters prior to that, they really ain't trying to hear too much from us. They not really trying to hear nothing. Fortunately, we got unfortunately, we got a Donald Trump. We got, you know, all this blatant mask of civility, mask of, you know, white supremacy or whatever being shown or whatever. So that's trumping, no pun intended, that's trumping. Yeah, that's trumping that y'all old niggas ain't getting the bag right now, because once you see whether you get in the bag or not, these white people is shooting you in your head because you're a young black male, because you got a cell phone in your hand or you ain't even got nothing in your hand. Then you willing to listen a little more. You getting locked up like Takashi's or whatever. Like, then you willing to listen to what them old heads is talking about. Now you want to listen to what them OGs that got life or them lifers or them old heads is talking about. Because now you find yourself in a situation, you know, that if you want to survive and not become, you know, somebody's girlfriend, yeah, you might want to listen to the old heads now. And we don't got no bag. This ain't the bag. This is the wisdom. Wisdom is the
bag. Okay, but I'm glad you said that about the girl situation, because I speak to a lot of the young men down here, the homies. You know, I just speak to a lot of them, and I tell them, I said, my parents taught me of a practicality when it comes to religion and God and Allah and all. Right. So I might not do things right all the time, but I know the consequences of going to prison and going to jail. So it's not about, I'm not like, oh, God's gonna strike me down if I do this. I'm like, yo, bro, you do this, you go to prison. Right. But there's some people, there's a new generation that's coming up that think that if you go to prison, you can be straight. If you can fight, you can hold it off. How do you tell them that if you go there, it's a wrap?
Yeah, I mean, and it don't mean that it's a wrap, because I ain't did no penitentiary time. I done been, you know, arrested many times. I did little short stints or whatever, but by God's grace, I ain't did no penitentiary time. But you know, everybody that I know have and whatever, and I did my penitentiary time on these streets. Like, but you not the youngsters, if you don't have a knowledge of self, like a lot of times, you know, jail or prison can preserve you, can save your life, and spare your life, because you out here reckless. You probably was gonna die on the street. So you can try to look at the bright side and make lemonade out of the lemons that you was dealt. But the youngsters, like I said, with the drugs and the money and you know, the drugs, you out your mind. You're not in your right mind. You might already be a product of crack babies or other little drug side effects. So it's real tricky. Like you have to use the bait that they biting on it, and which is unfortunately the money thing. Like us, my generation have to use money and fame as bait. You know, the youngsters listen to money and fame. It just is what it is. It shouldn't be like that, but so if we can get to them before, you know, they actually do something stupid and then have to go to jail and learn that they're a prisoner, or learn that that's really slavery and hell. But prior to that, they're not trying to hear that. They just want to turn up. They want to get lit. They're not trying to listen to that. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. I have a question. I asked a lot of my, all of my guests, basically, how do you want to be remembered? Especially with the younger generation, how do you want to be remembered?
Man, how do I want to be remembered? As a warrior against Satan, against the real Satan, that I used my little hip hop platform or whatever platforms. I was going to war against the real enemy. I wasn't watering it down or half-assing or holding my tongue. When I was 21 years old, as far as I know, I never heard. I was the first one that I know. I'm not saying that this is actual fact, but as far as on commercial music industry or whatever, I was the first one that I ever heard verbally promote the name Master Farad Muhammad or WD Farad, or, you know, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad or Farrakhan. So, because I know that to be Jesus. So if you want to be remembered, then you got to attach yourself to God and Jesus. Like what? It's just, you know, it's that simple. Like, I'm not trying to even be a black activist or nothing. No, I want to be with God. I'm not a religious dude or nothing like that. But whoever God is, I'm intelligent enough to know that I should attach my business or my get down or my work or my gangster or whatever to him. That's you know, that's that.
Okay, praise the Lord. And I see all y'all comments, and I thank you all, and I thank y'all for watching. My last question is,
Yes, sir.
So we got the book. Are there any other future projects that are coming out from you, or anything? It's not even have to be a project. There's something else that you're working on.
Yeah, right now it's really the book. I'm pushing the book mostly, but I got an EP or album actually that I'm doing with my brother Femi from Nigeria, and we're gonna connect. Like I said, the single for this book is also coming out through dealing with my brother from Nigeria. So we trying to connect Africa and here, just like I just did with the Black and the Brown, the Mexicans and the Black on my Mutual Respect album. So my thing is always reaching out, trying to connect and trying to bring peace and unity in among groups that previously wasn't really rocking with each other. So that I always been about 20 years ahead of my time in all these little moves that I was making. So I don't expect necessarily everybody to understand it today and shit for another 20 years, but I got to do what I see and what I understand and let Allah guide everybody else from there, but I can't wait for nobody. I can't wait for nobody else to understand. I got to go on what I understand right now because tomorrow ain't promised for me.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Thank you. One last question, because you just said it with how is the condition of the Blacks and the Latino brothers and sisters in LA or Compton? Is it still sticky or is it getting better?
It's both. It's sticky and getting better. It's everything is evolving, and thanks to like I said, God putting Donald Trump in office, and in Phoenix, Arizona, I got a house in Phoenix, Arizona, also. Out there, the Mexicans are the niggas. They hate Mexicans. You know what I'm saying? So just allowing that dude to be the president and let him express what they all really feel, because 60-something million voted for him. So Donald Trump is not the problem. You know what I mean? So it's good for them to see, okay, we got the same struggle. We got the same enemy in common. We got the same, nature, pro each other. So let's unite. I'm not threatened by my Mexican brothers and sisters. They not threatened by me. I'm not trying to, get with their women or do nothing to their women and girls. They're not trying to do nothing to mine. Like, it's just mutual respect. It's been a lot of killings and all of that over the years. So we not trying to hold hands and act like we lovey-dovey, but it's called respect.
Yes, sir.
You start with respect. Then after respect, then you grow admiration and love and whatever else come after that. But it got to start with mutual respect. So based on that, God really blessed us with a huge positive demonstration and a movement that's going on to this day. Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. Well, thank you very much, Brother Cam. And I want to thank you on behalf of my family and just for your sacrifice, for standing up for something. We admire that, bro. I'm a soldier. You're a soldier. I salute you for that. And thank you for taking time out of your day, my brother, or night now, as soon as I put it on YouTube, I'll text it to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. I appreciate you, Big Josh. I love you. Love the family, man. Love you more, love to everybody. And thank y'all for watching. I'm your little brother, man. Reach out for your brother. Tap me if if y'all need some, advice or some help, or you think I need some advice, because I need more advice than I can give. So y'all might need to help me on things. But I'm here, hands on, always have been, and by Allah's permission will be until I make my transition. So once again, I thank you, Brother Joshua. Thank y'all, family in the cyber world, and peace and blessings.
Yes, sir. That's something like him. And love you, Brother Taiwan and Taiwan Prince, everybody, but Derek, for real, everybody in the comments. We see y'all. Thank y'all very much. Michael, Brother
Taiwan. Brother Mike. Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.